What if I told you there is a way to be widely productive with your writing without outlining, without typing, or even trying to write? It's called Just Kidding. Today we're chilling. Let me take you with me. Oi! Okay, tripod, not a good idea. All right, follow me. Okay, so we are going to talk about a new and unique hack to improve your focus, but also your productivity with your writing, but we will also cover a little bit more than that. So this is a Q&A video to celebrate the 1000 subscribers milestone of the channel. And so in this video, I'm answering some of the questions that you sent me about storytelling, but also about self-publishing and pretty much everything in between. And if you're new here, hey, I'm Julian, former storytelling consultant for corporates, but also for entrepreneurs, turned writing coach for aspiring authors. I joined Author2 last January, and my goal is pretty much to help you master the craft of storytelling so that you can write novels so beautiful that your readers will finish them and immediately want to start over. And also to help you build a business behind your books so that you can actually make a living doing what you love. And I'm also writing my own novel, and sharing my storytelling frameworks and tools with you on here helps me revisit everything pretty much with a pair of fresh eyes. So whether you're writing your first draft or reworking your plot or even trying to finish a story that you've been carrying for years, then I hope that what you find on the channel makes the process a little bit clearer, a little bit lighter, and a lot more exciting.
Because we're a little bit creative and a little bit quirky.
Right, so the first question was from Tara. Any new and unique tips for improving focus and productivity with writing? Not just put your phone away so it doesn't distract you, or create a habit of writing at the same time and place every day, something we haven't heard 100 times before. Okay, so I'm gonna share something that I personally do that's been working wonders for me. I won't pretend that no one's ever mentioned it before. Lately, I've seen a few people talking about this habit, but I started doing it last year in 2024, and at that time, I'd never heard of anyone else trying it, and it helped me refocus on my writing projects to gain clarity, but also to be a lot more productive with all my creative work. Now, fair warning, it does involve AI, so it might not be for everyone. Use it if it fits, leave it if it doesn't. Basically, I go on walks every day and I record streams of consciousness, or what I call streams of consciousness. So I'm pretty much talking out loud and recording it. I do use cable headphones so that people think I'm on a call. But anyway, during those recordings, I talk about two things. I talk about the story itself. So I will brainstorm about the plot points, the character arcs, the plot twist, all that kind of stuff. And then I would talk about my own resistance. So like when I'm feeling unmotivated, when I'm feeling stuck, and then I would let myself go on tangents to explore why that might be. And then later I take that transcript of that same recording and I would ask AI to help me structure my thoughts, track story ideas, or even refine my creative process. I use different prompts depending on what I need that day. So I've got 3-4 prompts for brainstorming. I've got a couple more for mindsets and organizing my week, and I have a few other prompts for motivation, especially when I need help finding my way back into the flow. Actually, you can get my full playbook with all the different prompts, all for free. There'll be a link in the description down below. It even includes prompts to help you process what you've learned from my videos or any other type of content really, so that you don't just consume the information, but that you actually remember it and apply it to your own writing. There's also a section focused on building your author brand online and also growing your readership. Honestly, this playbook has been super helpful. I'd say try it out, try a few prompts, and then let me know if it helps you too. If after using it, you find that there are too many prompts for you, fair enough. What you can do is bookmark your favorite so that you've got a quick access at the top. I'm also planning to make a full video breaking down the process, so how I personally use it, what the different prompts are, and also when to use them. So if that sounds something helpful for you, then let me know in the comments and I'll prioritize that one. So next question is from Brooke. My question relates broadly to character dialogue and creating a bond between characters. I'd be so grateful for any advice regarding this topic. So for this one, there is a full video on the way, so I won't deep dive just yet, but here's what I can say for now. What you can do is use the storytelling pillars to level up your dialogue. If you're not familiar with the storytelling pillars, they are the foundation of pretty much all the storytelling concepts that I share on the channel. There are 6 of them, so you will have the inciting incident, the progressive complication, turning points, the moment of crisis and contemplation, the climax, and then the resolution. They are honestly the best way to add layers of tension and subtext to your dialogues. Now, when it comes to dialogue, a storytelling pillar isn't always something that's said, but sometimes it's what's left unsaid or what shift beneath the surface. Again, there's a full deep dive coming soon, so feel free to hit subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. There'll be also a free dialogue workbook with that video, and I generally believe that those two will help you a lot more than you can imagine. Okay, so next question is from Life in Animation 17. I am writing a thriller book. My goal is 70,000 words, but I can't decide if I should make it a 5x8 size or a 6x9. Which one do you prefer? Love your content, by the way. So when it comes to trim size, yes, you want to think about aesthetics, but you also want to think about the reader experience and maybe more importantly, the cost. That said, I personally prefer 5x8 when it comes to fiction because I feel like it gives a denser, more intimate experience for the reader. 6x9 is more common in nonfiction. Now, I mentioned the cost earlier because the 6x9 uses fewer pages for the same word count, so obviously that means that the printing costs will be lower for you, but it really depends on your publishing strategy. One thing I do recommend is to print your first draft in one format for your revisions, and then to print your second draft in the other format so that you will know which one will feel right for you, but also for your story. Okay, next, I feel on one of those old TV show where people were going on speed dating inside of us. I don't know if you know which one I mean, but anyway, moving on. Okay, so the next question was from Raina. In your experience, what is the best way to edit a book as the author? Should I read through it first or jump around from section to section fixing plot holes? In all honesty, it really depends on who you are as a writer and also which draft are we talking about. Are we looking at your first draft, your second, or are you further along in the process? Most writers read through their first draft right away, which I think is a terrible idea. Your first draft is doomed to suck. There's no way around it, and there's no need to make it more painful than it needs to be. For a lot of writers, reading through it too early is generally demotivating. Writing already takes a ton of discipline, so I would say make it easy on yourself where you can. Here's what I usually recommend to my own clients. Break it down into phases. Phase 1 is where you scan your book, your manuscript, and you list all the scenes present in it. So you can read through it if you want to, but I would suggest to just scan it for structure. It'll be painful enough. I use a tool that I created called the Revision Grid, which is available in one of my Notion templates. There'll be a link in the description down below if you're interested, if you want to check it out. Once you have that bird's eye view, it's time to move to phase 2, which is the storytelling pillars check. As I mentioned earlier, there are 6 storytelling pillars, but they also show up at 6 different levels of application. I've made a few videos about this already, but the 6 different levels of applications are the dual storyline, we have the parts of your story, the sequences, which are pretty much successions of scenes, and then we have the scenes themselves, the dialogues, and lastly we have the subplots. What's important to note here is that each of these levels have their own specificities and nuances when it comes to the storytelling pillars, and that's really the power of this method. It helps you not only identify what's missing in your story, but also understand where it's missing and how to apply it in a way that fits the structure, but also the intention of your story. As I said, there's a video on dialogues coming soon, so bear with me on that. And there'll be also a few videos on the parts of your story and how to apply the storytelling pillars for each of these parts. Now, this step isn't about fixing every plot hole your story may have. That is not the goal. The goal is simply to check whether the storytelling pillars are present at all 6 levels. If something's missing, that's okay, just take notes and move on. That's part of the process. Honestly, it wouldn't even be interesting if you had nothing to improve in draft 2. But the more familiar you are with these storytelling pillars and also how they function across those different levels, then the more naturally you will start weaving them into your work. So again, watch those videos, take notes, go on a walk, record your thoughts, and use the free playbook, and you'll see how quickly your storytelling skills improve. Right, so that's phase 2. Then phase 3 is the turning point check. This one's simple. Go scene by scene and identify the turning point. If nothing changes by the end of a scene, then it's probably not needed or it needs to be reworked. And the last phase is the sensory detail check. So for this, you will need to go through your manuscript one more time, note any smells, sounds, textures, anything sensory that's present in your story or should be, and then you will use these notes when it's time for you to start working on your second draft. So after these 4 phases, you'll have a clear picture, clear understanding of your manuscript's strength and weaknesses. And if you want help with that, with your story or your author career, then you can always join Authorpreneurs Club. It is a 6-month coaching program where we work together on your writing project every week. Now, some of you have asked, why is it only 6 months? Why not an ongoing membership? Can't I just keep going after that? The truth is, that's by design. A lot of programs nowadays are built to keep you in forever, whether through a course with 15 modules, 100 plus of hours of video lessons, or monthly updates that you never quite catch up with. It can feel like progress, but often is just a really sophisticated form of procrastination. With Authorpreneurs Club, everything that you need to learn is already on this channel, or will be. As I said, there's a lot more coming. But if the answer you need isn't in one of my videos just yet, I'll share everything that you need during the weekly consultations. So if you're ready to dedicate the next 6 months to bringing your dream to life, then check out Authorpreneurs Club. It'll be the first link in the description down below. And don't worry, it's not some overpriced course either. It's a membership, as I said, kind of like Netflix, but for your own writing career. And since it is a membership, if you want to stop, you just stop. There's no awkward refund request. There's no waiting weeks for you to get your money back. Just one click and then you're out. It's just easy for everyone, really. Okay, so the next question was, how do I know if my story is overcomplicated? Well, short answer, I don't think there is such a thing as a overcomplicated story. I think it just comes down to how much space your story truly needs to properly unfold. For example, the novel I'm working on right now, it started as a standalone, a very long one, but the more I outlined, the more I realized that the story was a little bit too complex for just one book. It needed more room to breathe, and so I ended up outlining a full trilogy. I'm not sure if that helps though, but just know that if your story feels overcomplicated, it probably isn't. Still, trust your gut. Try exploring what it would be like as a duology or as a trilogy, or if you want to go Wheel of Time style, just try it out. Speaking of which, the next question was about giving a duology or trilogy a series name. So my answer to that is yes, you can, but you really don't have to. Personally, I approach the title of the trilogy that I'm working on the same way I think about titling each book within that same series. I want the name to hint at something deeper, something that the reader won't fully grasp until the very end of the story. So by the time they reach the final pages, I want them to have a aha moment about the duality of the story, so about what it was really about all along. And I want the title to make them look back at the plot twist and think something like, oh, okay, the clue was right here in front of me, I just didn't see it. So that in insight, the twist and the ending was or feel inevitable. And I think that's the power of a great title. Because when it connects to both the plot twist and the deeper meaning of your story, I think the title alone can bring back so many emotions to the readers and so many memories about the story long after they finished the book. So if you're naming a duology or trilogy, then think of the title as kind of an Easter egg. So like a subtle hint at the overall story, the core twist, and the message at the heart of it all. Right, so the next question comes from a friend of mine, Nikki. She asked about my general routine and how I manage it all. I think the reason really that why she asked me that is because I share a lot of my personal life on Instagram, and she knows that I work out several times a week, that I run 2 different businesses, that I love reading, and now that I'm also writing a book on top of that. So I understand that from an outside perspective, it might seem like a lot to juggle. But the truth is, right now is not really the best time to ask me that. Not that I'm not going to answer, but it's just that I've fallen off my routine because I've been traveling for my birthday, and I kind of always struggle to get back into it after a break. But that happens, and as long as you trust yourself to come back to it eventually, then I don't think it's a big deal. So if anything, I think it builds self-trust, sorry, if that makes sense. That said, in terms of routine, I usually work out the first thing in the morning or after the coffee, and then I focus on creative work until lunchtime. So depending on the season that I'm in, that could be, working on my novel, that could be doing some YouTube stuff, whatever needs my creative energy at that point. After lunch, I try to work on one of my 2 businesses. I say try because after lunch, I can't really seem to be able to focus much. So yeah, I try, then I give up, and then I go on a walk to refresh my brain, and then when I'm back, I'm usually good to go until 6 or 7 p.m. I used to work until 8, 9 p.m. Long days, but I'd hit a mini burnout by midweek, so now 6, 7 p.m. is my healthy boundaries. As for how I manage everything, I use a digital bullet journal that I built in Notion. I've been using it for years now. It helps me track my to-do list, my weekly goals, my monthly plans, even the little treats that I would give myself if I managed to do the big thing of the week, that kind of thing. I can make a video on that digital bullet journal. If you're interested, just let me know in the comments. And lastly, a lot of people asked me about the novel that I'm working on. So it's a story that's been with me for many years. I think I was around 18 when I first had the idea, and over time it kind of took a life on its own. Back then, I wasn't even sure what form it would take. A book, a movie, a series maybe. In my early 20s, I was already very into reading, but I was also working in a film production in Canada. So I had the story, I just didn't know, or I wasn't sure on which medium I wanted to start with. But now that I've started writing it as a novel, I'll share the logline with you. A man is forced to return to his family manor after his parents' death, a place he spent years trying to escape. But when someone from his past shows up to stop him from digging too deep, and shocking evidence turns everything he believed upside down, he must uncover what really happened before the accusation turns on him. So if that sounds like a book that you'd like to read, or if you'd like to follow the process of writing it, or even just learn how to write a logline for your own novel, then feel free to hit subscribe. And if you'd like to watch more of my videos, then you can start with this one right here. I'm Jude and Mail It. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.